Bam. It's Friday. TGIF. How are you? I'm going to test one thing because I've been messing around with stuff quite a bit today. This ought to be interesting. We might actually get how do I put this? We might actually get a video in the live stream today, which I don't know if my computer's going to blow up when I do it, but we'll find out. We're going to go over a ton of things. For those of you who don't know me, my name is John Schenk, and I am the founder and managing broker of Deerwood Realty in St. Louis, Missouri. We help buyers buy homes, sellers sell theirs. And I've been helping people do this for, I don't know, since like 2000, I don't even know, 9? I'm just guessing. I don't know. I think it's 2009 because your license, the first 4 numbers are the year that you got your license. I think it was 2009, but I thought it was earlier. I've been messing around with real estate before then, but finally decided to get my license. But anyway, my live stream is about user participation. And I say that with a straight face because I'm sarcastic. No one's ever on my live stream, and so there's no audience participation whatsoever. And that's fine. I've just not been able to build the audience that I thought I would be able to build. And I don't, it is what it is. It is what it is. And that's it. So on the live stream, we talk about, news articles, real estate news, real estate opinion. Like what do I think the market's doing? What do I see in the marketplace in my own business? And then, we wander around, taking nothing too serious. I'd love to give advice if you ever have a real estate question, but so far no one's taken me up on the offer. So I just offer it. But yeah, that's the channel. If you'd like something like that, a train wreck basically about real estate, then this is the channel for you. I believe I'm up to 72 subscribers, which is amazing considering that I just moved over to the Deerwood Realty channel from the live streams channel. I moved back because, this is where the larger part of my audience is. I kind of stopped caring about the algorithm as far as getting anywhere. I'm just going to produce content what I want, and hopefully you'll come along with me. And if not, then I just waste some time every day. We try to live stream at 9 a.m. on Monday through Friday, but you know what? I haven't been live streaming at 9 a.m. through Monday through Friday in so long. I don't really know that we can say that we do that anymore. The best way to know if I'm doing a live stream is I might post it on Twitter or hit the notification button. That's the best thing. Like last night, I got home and it was late. I'd showed a house and it was a terrible house. It was one that you almost like, we talk about them all the time, the shower houses, those houses that when I go show it, from the minute I walk in the door, I just want to go home and take a shower because they're just so terrible. And it doesn't have to be based on price. Okay. I can go to a $500,000 house and still want to go home and take a shower. I mean, it's just like some people just live nasty, dirty, or they lived very well 30 years ago. And then they just age got caught up with them. And maybe they didn't see the dog crapped all over the floor, or, there's leaking in the roof, mildew, mold, your shower is disgusting. I mean, things of this nature. This is what I see. So anyway, last night, that was crazy. I come home and I really wanted to do a live stream because I've been gone since Friday of last week. And I was like, let me get to it. And then I got nervous. I do my research when I do a live stream, but my research has been kind of terrible lately because I've just been too busy doing the real estate business, which I'm going to change because honestly, I like live streaming enough that I need to put more effort into it. And you guys need to put more effort into it too, to be honest. You need to comment. You need to be in the chat. We need to get this thing going. But anyway, last night, 9 o'clock, I just finished dinner and I was tired. I mean, I guess you could build a great audience at night if people are off work and everything. Like right now, who's home at 4 o'clock in the afternoon to be on my live stream? You see how it just doesn't work. It just doesn't work. So anyway, I don't know when my live streams are going to be. The problem that I have a lot of times in the evenings is I'm out showing houses, and then when I get home, I'm tired. I'm beat. And if I have to write an offer, then I got to write an offer. Can't be live streaming when I'm writing offers. So I think you can understand that. And then there's days like today where I had every intention of live streaming this morning, got nervous. I'm not nervous about failure because I'm very good at it, failing. But I'm nervous about just getting enough content that would be of some interest to someone to put it on. And so, I mean, I looked through my notes, and my last live stream was kind of impromptu, and I ran into one of my main articles got white paged or whatever they call it, where it went behind a paywall when it hadn't been behind a paywall for a long time. And so that was embarrassing, and not really embarrassing, but it just kind of ruined the content flow. So anyway, I don't even know where I was going. At a certain point in time, you just got to get out there and do it, right? You just got to get out there. It doesn't matter if you're nervous. It doesn't matter if you don't feel prepared. Just get out there and do it. We could use that for all types of life. But anyway, today, I mean, I'm telling you this. My wife got me blueberry bagels this morning for breakfast, and they were very, very good from Breadco. There was like 2 blueberries per bagel. A little disappointed there, but the cream cheese, made up for it. So, all right. But I didn't eat for lunch. I've been trying to watch my weight, which all I'm doing is watching it expand. I had to go run an errand, and when I was on the way back, there was a place where I could get a chocolate milkshake, and so I got the chocolate milkshake, and it was delectable, delicious. And now I'm in a food coma. I could literally fall asleep right now, and I'm going to try not to. That's also something that happens to me. It happened to me last night when I was eating, and then I was going to live stream afterwards. It was just like, no, you're not. You're going to take a nap. And so I did, and it was wonderful. So anyway, I have ideas on today's show, and I don't know how they're going to go. One of those ideas is I want to show a video of the listing that I had over the weekend, because it was, over last weekend. The decision on Monday was made to put the house under contract, but leading up until then, I mean, it has just been phone calls, emails, texts, day after day after day, and I just couldn't seem to do anything else or find some time for myself. So anyway, I'm going to do this. I'm going to try at least. Don't make fun of me if it goes terribly wrong. Okay. So here is the listing video for the house. There is music. It's catchy and it's fun, but I don't want to get a copyright strike on my channel. And so I'm just going to mute it, and then let's see how this goes. I'm going to add this to the stream right here. That's not what I wanted. So there we go. This is what I want. Now I'm going to do this, but I'm going to full screen it. Okay. That's my plan. Okay. So here we go. And then hopefully you can see it now. Hopefully you can see it right now. So this is the house. There's me. And this is the house. These are listing videos that I do for every house that I list. There's the kitchen. Beautiful updated kitchen. Tiles are really cool looking. The backsplash, solid surface countertops, stainless steel appliances. There's the living room, and it kind of has an eating kitchen. I mean, it's just a nice house. It's a nice house. It's what everybody wants. It's in the grayish. There's a large bedroom, the master. There's a updated shower, a bathroom. This is the hallway. This is one of the rooms. So, I mean, hopefully you're seeing this. Hopefully it's working out for you. There's the baby's room. There's the guest bathroom. It's a nice house, and this is the basement that's just gorgeous. There's another full shower in the basement. So there's another room, and then there's the I don't know if you're gonna see the storage or not. There's the washer and dryer, and then there's the outside. I think it's really nice looking. And there's the new deck, and so that's the place. Beautiful house. So I had a good house, and I'm happy to show it off. So I'm going to exit that, and then I'm going to go back here. Hopefully you saw that it looks like you did. It looks like you did, but I wanted to talk about it. I wanted to go over some notes and stuff. I had many offers on the house. I had more than 20. A lot of people are saying that the market is dead or dying, and I want to believe that because, like I've told you in the past, I mean, for the past 6 months to a year, I've been out there showing houses to buyers weekend after weekend, night after night, and writing offers, and those offers have either not been accepted or, I mean, like 1 in 100 offers gets accepted, and I'll tell you that's kind of hard on your mental state. And so anyway, I didn't think the house was going to go very high. I didn't think we were going to get bidding wars because, the market had been cooler. I actually wrote an offer on a different property for one of my other buyers on Friday, and there were not 20 offers on that. Now, let's just put it out there. Do I have some skill as a listing agent? Yes. Was this house an easy house to sell in the sense that, I could use visual media, I could use video, I could use, pictures, I could use digital media to market it to the people that would really be interested in it? Yes. I did a good job on that. However, the market is really, really still strong to get that many offers. And the congratulations goes to the sellers who put many thousands of dollars into this home over time. I was just lucky enough to get the listing. And so what I wanted to do today is just go over some of the things that through all the offers that I got, some of the themes that I saw. And, if you are looking for a house and if you do think that you're in a competitive market where there's lots of offers being thrown around, I'll give you some tips that I think might be helpful. Some of the things I'm going to apply to my own offers, and we'll go from there. I wrote a list, and I'm just going to go over that. But I'm just going to, I didn't write down the whole, what I'm going to talk about. I just wrote down some notes. So number one is the asking price. So I just want to tell you from the seller's perspective, I am primarily a buyer's agent. I like to list homes, but I just don't get the opportunity very often. But the first thing we should talk about is the listing price. And in this case, when you're making an offer on a house and it's a multiple offer situation, well, what can you divine from a multiple offer situation? If there's 5 offers, let's say, do you really think that all 5 offers are going to be below asking? And so as an agent, we kind of know that we need to be above asking just to have a chance to buy this house. Now you could say, well, John, what about a buyer love letter? That normally makes people want to use it. People care about money. There's no question. I think people care about, who's moving into their house. I think that's fair. But regardless of whether or not someone takes the top offer or the close to top offer, you're going to want to have an asking price that's up there, right? And so just when we're looking at things, we probably want to have, if we're going to write an escalation clause in an offer, if we're going to, let's say we're going to escalate, let's just say on a house and the asking price is $200, and we know there's 5 other people that have written an offer, or we believe that to be the case. Why we? If I said $200,000 asking price, that's what I mean. If that's the case, why are we putting an offer in at $200,000 at the asking price if we're going to know there's 5 other offers? What are we doing? What are we accomplishing? What if there's 10 offers? Are we still coming in at the same asking price? No. And so how would you normally get over that obstacle? Well, you'd write either an escalation clause, which some home sellers, some agents believe are terrible and you should never use them, and so they don't. Or you could just simply write in the price that you'd be comfortable paying for the house. Do you understand? House is asking $200. You've got 10 offers. You write your offer for like $210, $215 minimum. Okay. don't even worry about the escalation clause at that point. That's later. Are you comfortable paying $215 for the house? If you are, go ahead and put it in the asking price. Go ahead and put it as your offer price. I mean, there's no reason to start at a low number at the asking price when there's people writing other offers. Why would you do that? You say, well, John, I don't want to get stuck paying the most for the house, like over someone else if I didn't have to. It's like, I understand that, but there's 10 other offers. We don't really know the top number, and we won't. So we know there's no point in starting at asking. That's not going to get us the house. We're trying to get to where we can get the sellers to kind of like us. And they're not going to like us if we go, like, say, at asking, and then we do an escalation clause to, like, say, 220. Why don't we just start off at 215 or so? I'm just asking. So, yeah, I think that matters. I think when you're in a multiple offer situation, I think a higher than asking price offer matters, and I think you should consider it. Now, by the way, you guys out there, maybe this is 10 years from now, maybe the market's totally different. But that's why you probably should be using a real estate agent. At least someone that kind of has their stuff together too, not just like your cousin who never gets off the couch. No, you probably need somebody with some expertise, somebody whose livelihood depends, their ability to eat depends on whether or not they buy or sell houses, help you over time. Don't get somebody too desperate. You'll be in the worst house you can imagine. But anyway, point number one is if you're going to go in above asking with an escalation clause, you might as well go in above asking just to go above asking. There's no point in starting at asking if you can afford to go above asking on a house, again, with multiple offers. That's number one. Number two, the escalation clause. If you're gonna go in and add an escalation clause, now in some parts of the country, their escalation clauses are illegal. Can't put one in. That's what I've been told. I don't know if it's true or not. Not in Missouri. We have an escalation clause. So let's say the house is worth $200 and you're welcome to buy that house. You want an escalation clause up to $225. Okay. Well, then that's fine. But why don't you go ahead and come in above asking? Okay. And then when you do have an escalation clause, understand that you could be topped out at the top of your escalation clause and the house could go to you, and you may not realize that, and you may be in a bad spot when you actually get the house. I think some people have a tendency to believe that if we started at asking, okay, so 200 in this case, and the price goes up to 215, and we've got an escalation clause up to, like, say, 230, the house will never go up to 230. So even though we've got that escalation clause in there, we don't have anything to worry about because it's never going to make it that high. Well, what happens when it does and you're the buyer? If you're going to use an escalation clause, you better come prepared to pay the top number. Is it fair? I think so. You wrote the offer. Now you can say, is the market fair, or any number of things fair? No, I get that, but if you have control over the offer, you write for every property. So I would just say, look, go ahead and understand that when you're writing a contract with an escalation clause, make sure that if you're at the top number, you're willing to pay that. That's separate from appraisal. Okay. We might get to that in here. I don't remember if I put that in the list. Oh yeah. It's the next thing on the list. So next thing is an appraisal gap. What happens if you actually are the winner? Okay. Let's say a house is asking 200. You picked it up for 230. Let's just say that we don't know anything. Okay. Now that you picked it up for 230, okay. What if it doesn't appraise? What if it doesn't appraise? What if it appraises for 215? You're going to have to come to the table with at least $15,000 in cash, or you can't buy the property. What are you going to do? Well, that's where you need to start working with your realtor on the offer and crafting an offer. Real estate agent might have a really good plan, a really good strategy, but it only works with input from you as the buyer. So what's an appraisal gap? An appraisal gap is something that happens. Let's just say the house is there's a contract on a house that was $200,000. The contract is for $230,000. The appraisal comes in at $215,000. The buyer needs to come up with that other $15,000 to close. They may not have that $15,000, so now they can't close. There's two ways to go about this. One, offers sometimes will have an appraisal rider, which says if the house doesn't appraise, I'm out. There's another way to handle it, though, is the appraisal gap, which would appraisal gap coverage, which says I'm willing to pay $10,000 over the appraisal to get this property. In this case, in my example, you'd still be $5,000 short. Property would go back on the market, earnest money returned to the buyer. But that's appraisal gap coverage. Should you, in a perfect world, if you're the seller, you know exactly the top number of the house and what it would sell for or what it would appraise for. And I feel like on the buyer side, I make on the seller side, I definitely know, like I know my houses are going to appraise. And if I don't feel comfortable with it, then I want an appraisal gap coverage. But your listing agent should have a pretty good idea what the house would appraise for. And you have to understand that the appraisal is not necessarily what the asking price is. There's strategies. Sometimes you price a house lower so that you can get more traffic and the property actually ends up selling for higher than what you would have gotten if you just priced it a certain way. Very seldom does it ever work where if you price a house too high, you get rewarded in the marketplace. It looks like you're greedy. People don't want to be a part of it. And so, yeah. But let's talk about this appraisal gap coverage and another odd thing that would happen in this market that I watched an agent shoot themselves in the foot. If you're gonna write an offer not contingent on financing, which would be quote unquote an all cash offer, which doesn't have to be. All you're doing in the offer is saying that you don't need this deal to be contingent on financing. Seller likes to remove all contingencies if possible. So this is a great deal. But if you're going to do that, then don't throw in an appraisal rider, because all the goodwill and everything smart about that offer just got thrown out the window because you're running the appraisal gap. You're running into a situation where you've said you're going to be in all cash, and now you're not going to be in all cash because once the appraisal comes and it's not the right number, you're going to get thrown out. So don't do that. Don't do that. Just be happy. Just figure out the number the highest number you're comfortable with paying, and that's where you should write your offer. I hope that makes sense. Because I don't mind if you write an offer contingent on financing or not, especially if you have an appraisal gap coverage in there. And as a listing agent, I know that the house is going to sell for that price. So a little tricky, but if you are a buyer and you know your numbers well enough and know, like, look, I'll put an offer up until X amount of money, but if it doesn't appraise for this and I give them, this gap coverage of 5 to 10,000 and it doesn't make it, I'm out. That's okay. Seller's not going to be too upset about that, but seller's going to be really confused when you write all cash offer but it has to appraise. Why? So that's a mess. Let's go over some other ones here. Inspections. So inspections are a fine one. So let me just put it out to you like this. Say there's one house and there's two offers. One is buyer is requesting inspections and a negotiation period afterwards to repair. If that doesn't work, buyer gets to leave with their escrow money. And then there's another one that says buyer's looking for inspections. They're either going to take the house or they're not. Then there's a third option. Buyer's going to buy the house and not ask for buy the house, order inspections and home inspections, and anything below $2,000 they're not going to negotiate. Well, which officer, they're not going to negotiate because they're fine with taking the house. Which offer do you want as the listing agent? Well, it's not that difficult, believe it or not. So anytime you take a house off the market, you risk the potential of never getting as good of an offer again. That's not true in this market. You can go ahead and throw things on the market every time and somebody will pick it up. But in most markets, you actually penalized or punished when you put a house back on the market. So as a listing agent, you don't want to do that. You don't want to have to do that. So then how does that work? Well, you could say that you're not going to have any inspections, but as a buyer's agent, I would never recommend that. And really, as a listing agent, look, if you've got professionals, you want to walk through the house, The problem with inspections got to be that you're paying $1,200 and $1,300 for an inspector to come through and tell you that you've got a loose faceplate on the wall for your electricity. It costs 99 cents at Lowe's to repair, and you're going to go ahead and nix the deal because of that. That's when it got stupid. Or, if you give an inspector all day to find something wrong with the house, they will. Is that really what you want, or do you want to buy the house? And that's how it always got messed up. So anyway, the problem becomes, if you want to negotiate repairs, say like on $2,000 or less, how do we know what something costs without getting estimates? And then how do we get estimates when we've got maybe a 10-day window to negotiate? It's impossible. Seller would rather just say, you want to have inspections come on through and you're out, that's fine. Much cleaner. You get what you want, which is you get to know what's going on in the house. And yet, the seller gets what they want, which is they want to move. And the reason why they've got the house listed for sale is they want to sell it. So, on the inspections, make it so that it makes sense. Make it so that it's a reasonable thing for the seller. And then finally, earnest money. Earnest money is an odd thing. And I'm going to try and explain it the way I think about it. Okay. So earnest money, this idea of earnest money is like, this is a gauge of interest in your purchase of this home. Okay. So like if you come at me with an offer and you've got, let's just say it's a $500,000 house, and you come with me with an offer for $500 earnest money, I'll just laugh most of the time. You're wasting my time, and the only recourse my seller gets is $500 because you can't perform on the contract. No. We're not doing that. Maybe 10,000, maybe 20,000, maybe then I'll pay attention. But I'm not interested at $500 or $1,000. And you say, well, that just means that the seller wants to steal the money. They don't want to perform, and then they want to steal the money. Well, it could be. People are assholes. Sellers, buyers, everyone involved in the transaction could be an asshole. That's a part of life. Typically, sellers just want to know, like, look, we're in a space where we can only really put this house on the market once. It's one of the most important things we have in this world is a home to go to. And you want to buy it, which we're really happy. The earnest money, if you're saying that you want us to go through all these steps and then just $500 if things don't go right, I don't really think that's going to work. So you want to be higher on your escrow money. It stands out in an offer. If you can come in above asking, reasonable inspections, no appraisal writer, or a limited appraisal gap coverage, and high earnest money, your chances of getting a deal done are high, like maybe 80% and above. Now in this market, it's just tough. So keep those things in mind. Now, let me, I can't tell you what I got for the house. I can't tell you who won. I can't tell you why they won. I can't tell you anything like that. And I'm not, I'm sorry. But one of the things I wanted to say is, like I said, I had a lot of offers. I don't know if I gave you a number, but I had a lot. And what I would say is look, this house, let's just say we were asking 200. Okay. And the very top of your budget is $200,000. It's probably not the house for you. You probably need to be in this market, you probably need to be in the 160s, 170s, because it's going to go over asking. And if you're already struggling at asking, then there's no way you can buy something for over asking. And so then that requires you to put more contingencies in the contract. For instance, an appraisal writer. For instance, lower escrow funds. For instance, maybe you want inspections because if something's wrong, you're just out and you just can't afford it. I saw probably, let's say I'd say maybe 10 offers that the people couldn't possibly afford the house that they had an offer on. Here you go. If you're going to buy all cash offer using an iBuyer so that they can rent it back to you, your financing sucks. Like, you may not want to buy a house. I'm not saying that you can't. I'm not trying to dissuade you. I'm trying to say, look, financial wise for you, maybe that's not the best idea. That's all. I mean, and I understand. I deal with first time buyers. I mean, I have a lot of first time home buyers, and a couple of things. One, they never believe that the house is actually going to sell for over asking. So we're sit there and we're writing offers at asking when they goes way over asking. And another thing is they just, they always want to buy the pretty house. Like if there's 5 houses that come out at the exact same price, they want the prettiest of the 5. And that's the house that everybody else wants, which is what causes it to go for more. So you should probably look for like the 3rd best house or the 2nd best house if you're going to come in and asking. I know that seems harsh. We don't live in like a perfect world, right? You do understand that. So anyway, those are some of the highlights that I got. I have a story about the listing that I'm pondering how I should do it. I think I should wait until the house closes. But then somebody's going to get set on flame because what they did was just makes me want to vomit. And I hate people like that. And I'll just have to leave that for down the road. Shall we look at some Google Trends articles? Should we look at some popular culture references, things of this nature? I just want to check one thing. Let's see. Okay. I think we should. So this is what I saw today, and I'm not, oh my gosh, I saw it pop up. Did you see this? No, because I don't have it in the thing. Thanks. Oh, that's terrible. I kind of like that. Okay. What's it say? It says Shakira. Shakira sings like hips don't lie and whenever, wherever. I can remember I was working in Detroit, Michigan. I was single. I was out of college. And everything in my life was going poorly, but there was a sports bar. And I think it was a sports bar. I couldn't tell you exactly, but it was in Deerwood. It was not in Detroit where I lived. I say Deerwood. I don't think it's Deerwood. I don't know. It's right next to Detroit. It's been so long. Like Deerfield? Dearborn. So I went to Dearborn, which is a town next over. Went to what I thought was a sports pub, but it was a little bit more exciting than that. A little more exciting. And so they had a big screen. And I saw this woman gyrating on the screen for 10 minutes or whatnot. 4 minutes, I guess. And I was like, who's that? Oh, that's Shakira. I was like, really? It was weird. And then, after that, she was, a famous person. There. That's what I know about Shakira. Okay. So anyway, thought this was kind of interesting. It says Shakira facing call for an 8-year jail term in a tax fraud case. Now this is where I find things interesting in the world. Shakira is known as like a singer, dancer, performer. Let's go with performer, entertainer. In fact, in some ways, Shakira and I are very similar. But do you really consider her a tax expert? Do you think like that's like, yeah, she can dance, but does she know how to pay taxes? Well, apparently not. Apparently not. So that's a problem. It's a problem because most governments around the world will want your money if you earned it. So sorry for the cough. Let's continue. It says her hips might be lying after all. Spanish prosecutors want to throw Colombian superstar Shakira behind bars for 8 years if she's found guilty of stiffing the country of millions of dollars in taxes. Okay, so let's try and figure this out. Colombian superstar Shakira. Is Shakira from Colombia? I asked that. I thought she was from Brazil. And so because we have the magic of the interwebs, I'm not going to do Brave because it's not very good. Lie. I just keep it because I hate every other one. Okay, here we go. Oh, I DuckDuckGo Google. I hate DuckDuckGo even worse. Okay, where is Shakira from? Oh, Barranquilla, Colombia. It says that right there, 1977. So, we were born the same year. She's 45 years old. Wow. Wow. Where did Shakira grow up then? Northern Colombia. Okay. So we can't. I mean, I thought she was from Brazil, so I was wrong. Put in the comment section if you thought Shakira was from Brazil. I need to check something. Okay. All right. So anyway, it says, so what is this? The songstress is going to go to jail because she didn't pay taxes or being threatened with prison? How can that be? It says the Hips Don't Lie crooner has been in the throes of a legal battle for allegedly failing to pay $14.7 million in taxes when she lived in Spain between 2012 and 2014, a time that Shakira claims she did not live in the country. So she says, look, you're taxing me, but I didn't live there. Now, is it for me, someone who doesn't know Spanish tax law and who doesn't reside in Spain and who doesn't really, I mean, let's be honest, I feel like she makes a little more money than I do dancing than I do as a live streamer. But she says, I don't live in the country, and so I don't need to pay these taxes. And I have no idea. I have no idea. So it says earlier this week, the Queen of Latin Pop rejected a plea deal from prosecutors and said she would take her chances at trial because she trusts her innocence and chooses to leave the issue in the hands of the law. The PR firm Loriente y Cuenca said in a statement. So she's saying, now, like, just understand now, people will say, like, well, you wouldn't have anything. Why would you hide something, if you didn't do the crime? And then in this case, it's, well, you were sued, or I mean, I think sued is the word. I don't know, for this offense. Obviously did it. That's how I used to think like 20 years ago. I used to think that where there's smoke, there's fire. But I live in the United States, and all I've seen for the past, at least 15 years is just from the media is just absolute garbage. So I don't believe that at all anymore. I don't believe that at all. So it says prosecutors insist Shakira did live in the country during that time and said she bought a home in Barcelona in May of 2012. They said she lived there with her estranged partner, Gerard Piqué, and their son, who was born in Spain in 2013, according to a document reviewed by Reuters. Now, it says prosecutors insist Shakira did live in the country. They say, look, you lived here. You own a house here. Your baby was born here. It's pretty tough. It's pretty damning evidence. I mean, I would think, but I don't know. Again, I'm not a tax lawyer for Spanish, the country, Spain. At the time, Shakira's official residence was in the Bahamas, but prosecutors claim she spent most of her time in Spain. Now, I do understand this idea of how long you live in a place. For a long time, people would live in New York City, but they have a summer home in like Florida. And so they'd say, I don't live in New York City. My home is Florida. And New York City would try all kinds of things to ensnare you in tax issues. It says if prosecutors prove their case at trial, they want Shakira to spend 8 years behind bars and pay $23.5 million. Now, I know how this works too. A lot of times they say they want the max sentence. It doesn't matter who you are. They want you. You don't want to just accept a plea deal. Then you're going to have a max sentence. See how you like that. Let's see you dance in prison, Shakira. See how that goes. Not good. Not good. Now, I think it's a risky strategy in the sense that if they're wrong, you're going to jail. Like if you're Shakira and you bought a house for like $14 million and the prosecutors come and say, hey man, like, look, you either accept our plea deal or you're going to jail. You got $14.5 million at least to buy a house. I'd say I would take the plea deal. Why would I risk going to jail? And they say, well, you can't do it if you're innocent. I'm like, look, this is my life. I only have one of them and I'm going to spend 8 years of them in prison. No, I don't want to do that. So it says the whenever, wherever singer who sold more than 80 million records worldwide. Now that is a feat because think about it. When's the last time you purchased a record? The majority of you. When's the last time you purchased a record? The only record I even owned ever that was a music record was Van Halen's 1984, and I did it because I liked the cover. I don't even have an ability. I mean, I don't even have a record player. Now they say the sound is so much better. They say all kinds of things, but I'm just telling you, like, I don't know how do you sell 80 million records in the world in 2022 or even in 2015? I mean, that would be on like a USB dongle. Anyway, it says she's repeatedly maintained her innocence and said she previously paid a $17.5 million debt to the Spanish tax office and doesn't owe them anything else. So now she's saying, look, I paid for this, even though I didn't do this. See, 14.7, she says she paid 17.5. Oh, look, I paid you more than what you're saying I owe you by $3 million. Come on. What's going on here, guys? Now, it's kind of fun. It's like they're coming after you and they're going to put you in jail for not paying taxes. And you say that you paid and I paid. I don't know anything else. Like you've made the declaration to a government entity that they don't really care what you think. They're telling you what they think and you should be concerned because you could go to jail, prison. I guess you could do that whenever, wherever. Now, when asked for comment, representatives for the superstar pointed to a previous statement released Wednesday that said she is fully confident of her innocence and thinks this case is a total violation of her rights. Now, I'm not. What rights are we talking about here? Are we talking about Colombian rights? Are we talking about Spanish rights? Whose rights are we talking about? Because different countries have different elements to your rights, your personal rights. Now, is there some world body that maybe has some other human rights? Sure, but we don't live in the world. We live in our own countries. I don't know if you saw Brittany Griner. She's very upset that she didn't get read her Miranda rights before being arrested by the Russian police. like that's not good. Now, if you're thinking that, you're not thinking the way you need to be thinking. It says last month, Shakira made headlines when she announced she'd be splitting from Piqué after 8 years together. Or I'm sorry, after 11 years together. That's her partner. Prior to that, she went viral after she and her son were attacked by wild boars at a Barcelona park and claimed one of them made off with her purse. I mean, like let's get to where I'm at on this, okay? Let's get to where I'm at. Let me see if I got anything going on here. Okay, here's where I'm at. Look, Shakira this is how we think of Shakira. She's happy and she dances around, sings a little. Okay, we don't think of Shakira as the tax heist queen of Spain. Like, does anybody want to picture Shakira in prison? And she's got kids or a kid? And she's afraid of wild boars in Spain. I mean, it's something. It's something. I'm sad for her. I don't want to say like when bad things happen to good people, because I don't really know that she's a good person. I've never had any interaction with her. She's never really called me or anything like that, or probably didn't even know I'm alive, and I'm okay with that. I get it. But it's just my point that I'm trying to make that is hard to see is like we assign values and we assign things like we know someone because that gets us closer to that person in the sense of like we all know her music, so we all have a part of her in theory, and that's good. That causes her to be able to sell records, which again, that's not something that I knew you could still do. But, at the end of the day, I just don't see how this is positive for her image. Now, if she was a rapper, like a street rapper, and she was going to go to the prison for murder was the case that they gave me. Remember that? That's Snoop Dogg, I believe. Now, I'm old. Understand I'm 45 years old, and I haven't been thinking about any of that in a long time, so the brain's a little bit fuzzy there. But what I'm saying is like going to prison as a rapper kind of emphasizes your brand. Still not a good strategy because you can't sing and dance and rap. And I'm sure they're not rappers anymore. Whatever the people are that. Anyway, look, that enhances your cred though. Like you went to prison. Like I wanted to buy this. You don't want to buy a music from a rapper that's like, like in touch with his sensitive side. And he paints pictures of roses and stuff. See, it doesn't follow. And the same way in this case, the Shakira thing, look, no one likes Shakira because of her ability to pay taxes. Like that's not part of her. That doesn't enhance her street cred. What would enhance Shakira's street cred? A song where she danced around. Yeah. Maybe put her in a movie. Entertain her. I think she was in the Super Bowl. There you go. Throwing her in prison though, not so much. Not so much. That doesn't really work. Plus she's 45. She's my age. Again, I feel old. I don't want to live in prison. That doesn't sound like a good idea. That doesn't sound like fun at all. Prosecutor saying, look, you're going to prison or you can accept this plea deal. I'm going to accept the plea deal. Even if I didn't do it, I don't want to go to prison. Even the nicest prison. That's where I'm at on that. So, I mean, I'd say, look, even if Shakira did it, fingers crossed. Hope it works out for her. I don't think she's courageous for fighting. I don't think she's courageous because they may say you're going to take a year in prison. And she's like, oh, I'm not doing that. So I don't think there's any courage here by going to trial. I think this is a strategy. And if it doesn't go well, it sounds like it could go poorly for her. But, we never know. There could be a Supreme Court of Spain. I wouldn't know. This is not my wheelhouse. But anyway, I thought worthy of discussion. I feel bad for Shakira. House that I was looking at for one of my buyers just went pending. Not cool. All right, well, we're done with that. Let's go on. Let's get into some more real estate stuff because I know that's why you're here. That was sarcasm. I don't know. Oh gosh. I hit the wrong button. Here we go. All right. Now I got to get back here. Okay, good. This is where I want to be. I'm sorry that I kind of fumbled that. Let's go on to the next. Well, are we going to the next part? I don't even know what we're doing. Oh, yeah, we are. Okay, this is an article. I had a Bloomberg article about this, and it got pulled down while I was doing my live stream, and it was embarrassing. And it was embarrassing, but it was just annoying because I wanted to talk about this. It says, Number 10, Downing Street. I added that. Considers a 50-year mortgage that could pass down generations. Now, like, it seems like the whole world has issues, okay? Why is that? Well, they always used to say when the United States sneezes, the rest of the world has a cold. And I think that's been true. I don't think it's as true now. I think the West has been under attack for close to 20 years, and they never knew it. And even if they did know it, their political leaders sold them out. I believe that China and Russia are going to just inflict massive damage on the world economy from the perspective of what's going to happen to the United States in that. But you know what? You can thank all of your political leaders for that, because they've been doing it since at least George Bush, the first one that I can think of, and probably Richard Nixon. So anyway, it says this is a cautious welcome for an idea to tackle housing crisis, but experts warn to risks of those inheriting. Now, think about this. Well, I don't want you to think about it. Let's read some. It says Downing Street is exploring the idea of trying to tackle the housing crisis with ultra-long mortgages of up to 50 years that could pass between generations, allowing more people to build up equity rather than pay rent. This is stupid. This is stupid. There needs to be an understanding that property rights in any country should be, how do I put it? Property rights should be sacred. The ability to buy property should be distributed amongst the whole population, not just a select few. And government should work to create as much housing as possible so that the supply of housing is beneficial and large enough to keep the prices in check. This is a higher order of thought for me, okay? It says, mortgage experts said the idea could bring up some benefits, but flagged problems, including the potential to saddle children with debt and the fact it would not tackle the fundamental issue of housing supply, which is exactly where I'm at. You want to have cheaper houses, you build more houses. It's that simple. It's that simple. Build more houses, watch the prices either stay relative to inflation or go down. That's how you fix the housing supply. To me, adding 20 more years to a traditional mortgage that you can have your kids be stuck paying is not my idea of great economics. Like, not at all. I think people should be ridiculed for such thoughts. Under the plan being examined by number 10, a longer mortgage period would allow people to borrow larger sums with the possibility of passing the debt on, although it remains unclear what government action would take to make this happen. Now, this is a very, interesting concept. Let's just look at it from one perspective. I don't know if that's the right perspective, but you got this house, right? And at one point in time in the United States, you could actually afford a house. You could pay cash for it. Okay. Then they came up with these mortgages, and then these powerful people get to buy the mortgages, and then pretty soon all of our wealth is like pretty much stuck within the hands of like 10 people. Okay. And some people, myself included, don't want to live a life in debt. I don't want my money working for someone else. I want it working for me. That is to say, if I have $10, okay, I don't want to sell something to you. I don't want to owe you $20, okay, over 5 years just because I want a product. No, I would prefer that I have $10 and that somehow I work hard or somehow my money earns me another $10 so that I'm at $20. I don't want it to be the other way around. And so you have to ask yourself, who really benefits from longer mortgages? Is it really the people, or is it the powerful who buy the mortgages? Can you imagine, like right now, I have one stepdaughter going to college, and the rule that I put forth for the family was, you can go to whatever college you want to, but you will not be in debt from the day that you go there, or you will not go. Now, you may not agree with me. You may think that, if she could go to a 6-figure a year school, she should go. And she should just take on all that debt because the job she gets in the future will be better. Well, I have 2 master's degrees, okay? I have no debt. I have 2 master's degrees. And I'm telling you, the college didn't exactly do everything that it needed to do for me in my career. Okay. It just didn't. It just didn't. Would I say it's not worth it? If I were in debt right now, no, it wouldn't be worth it at all. You're much better off focusing on earning money and positive spending habits than you are going to college, taking on a bunch of debt, and then not using your degree when you find out no one really cares about, art studies when they need their car fixed. They would just prefer to have a mechanic. It sounds wrong. I mean, I don't want to offend anyone, but it's just honesty. It's just honesty. So anyway, I don't want her to graduate with debt, and I'm not interested in taking on the debt. So I don't know. At the time it worked out. Now I'm revisiting pretty much everything. So we'll see. But anyway, it says other housing ideas being considered by Downing Street include trying to free up government-owned land for rapid home building and exploring whether institutions such as schools could build homes for key workers priced out of local areas. So this would be like, oh, well, the government's building this house for only government workers. Here's some government land and we're going to build a bunch of houses on it quickly. I don't know that freeing up government land for rapid home building, I'm not against that, but the idea of institutions such as schools building homes, that's not unusual. Probably been going on for hundreds of years, if not longer. We had a Monsanto plant here in St. Louis, and they basically built the town around the Monsanto plant. Now, was it Monsanto at the time? No, it was some other factory. But Hershey, Pennsylvania, I believe, is entirely built for the workers. Fordlandia in Brazil, they had places to live for the workers. I know it failed. I understand that, but what I'm saying is it's not unusual. I believe whoever owns like the ski resorts in Colorado, Utah, and there's like one company, and I read it one time, they understood that what they pay their workers doesn't allow those workers to live close to their properties. And then that makes it so that they have to drive from so far away that the incentive to work at the place in the first place is not as great. So they've looked into housing, and I think that's reasonable. I don't have a problem with any of that. But what I'm saying is this isn't a new idea, that a government institution or a private company or school would build homes. Now, the problem is who owns these things. It doesn't really make any, it doesn't, I don't understand how you could build a bunch of single family homes for your employees and then, just give them to them. What if you fire the employee? What if they did something wrong? What if they're stealing from the company? Are we just going to pay for their house anyway? So, I mean, there's some details there that they may want to kind of look into. Okay. It says Boris Johnson, who used to be the prime minister, it says he's speaking to reporters during his trip to the NATO summit in Madrid this week. Now, all you know about NATO is that they're really, really happy about the war between Russia and Ukraine because so many of their bombs can be used by the Ukrainians. Just saying, NATO's not exactly like pro-peace. Anyway, confirmed the idea that 50-year mortgages was being looked at, saying the government wants to find all sorts of creative ways to help people in ownership. Well, that's good. I think it's right and good for government to help people into ownership. It's not good and great to help people into debt by saddling them with their parents' mortgage that's transferable. That's not exactly, to me, home ownership or ownership in general. It's not good to be building houses that people can't afford. He said last year we had 400,000 first-time buyers. That's a great number. We're starting to turn the tide. I don't know what that means. From what? People weren't buying houses? But it's crucial for this government and our overall economic story if those numbers continue to be strong. So you want 500? Do you want just to stay the same? It's just lunacy. It says, we need young people to have confidence to have the deposits, the mortgage packages to be able to get into ownership. If you're good enough to pay a lot in rent, we should find ways to help you convert that into a mortgage. Well, now look, it says people to have the confidence to have the deposits, the mortgage packages to be able to get into home ownership. Well, then you need to make houses and wages. You need to make wages commensurate with the ability to buy a house. Well, who determines wages? Well, does the market determine wages, or does the government control, does the government control wages? It's not that difficult. He said, ask if he was considering ultra long mortgage. He said, yeah. Well, why wouldn't you? No offense to Boris, but he's probably in his 50s. By the time just one of the 50-year mortgages ends, he's probably going to be dead. And that's always been the problem with politicians. They very seldom ever get to see directly what bullshit they've caused. The idea of multi-decade mortgages being transferred between generations is not new and has been pioneered in Japan, where 100-year family mortgages have been offered for some time. Now look at that. Japan's like, you know what? Here's a 100-year mortgage. Enjoy it. How is that helpful? It's not helpful at all. It's terrible. It says in the UK, relatively long mortgages are already the most common, according to Building Societies Association. 37% took out mortgages between 30 and 35 years, with only 10% opting for less than 20 years because they can't afford it. We have a 15-year mortgage here in the United States. I don't know. The key challenge is in the decades-long acceleration of home prices beyond growth and pay. Yes, that's exactly it. It's economics. In England, people in full-time work now need to spend an average of 9.1 times their annual salary to buy a home. Lower that number to 5. Lower that number to 4. Fix the problem right away. Longer-term mortgages would mean people could borrow greater sums with the same monthly mortgage payment, potentially opening up many more homes to those currently unable to buy, who might end up spending less money on repayments than they do currently on rent. Well, no, the issue there is longer-term mortgages are causing to be people more in debt. Like that means you can raise the price of houses even more, which puts people in more debt. Not good. What these mortgages would not do, however, is solve the long-term shortfall in house building. Well, there you go. There you go. Fix that problem and everything else solves itself. Graham Taylor, the managing director of the mortgage firm Hudson Rose, said the idea had complexities. On the face of it, it seems like a great idea, but the problem remains that the loan will need to be affordable for all the original applicants and also the children who inherit it. Otherwise, the children could risk inheriting a liability they are unable to manage, which, when secured against your home, has catastrophic consequences. Yes, that's right. Just because you got the mortgage, say it's like $50,000 a year. I'm just saying, I'm throwing stuff out of my head. And like the kid doesn't make $50,000 a year. Now you've transferred. Now the argument there would be, well, they could sell the house and get out from underneath it. Not if the prices of home goes down. And why do you think everyone wants to keep house prices from going down? It's for this very reason. Very reason here. Other potential complications include that when a property is passed on to children, inheritance tax could be liable, and the prospect of people having to maintain payments into retirement. That's right. This is like, hey, this might not be a very good idea. Yeah, here's what would be a better idea. Build more houses. Build a government that says, you know what, you want to build a house? You want to build a single family residence? You want to build, a small condominium complex? Here's how you fast track it. Here's what you do. I guarantee you, the more construction you have, the lower the prices would be. Across the board. Rob Gill, the managing director of Altura Mortgage Finance, said that if the plan did open up the market to more first-time buyers, this would have the effect of keeping property prices artificially high. Yes, it seems governments the world world over will do anything to avoid the alternative of property prices actually falling. That's right. It's like just because more people can get a mortgage doesn't mean the prices are going to go down. You still need the houses themselves. Let me switch topics real quick. The mortgage market is crashing for some reason the last couple of days. People were very upset that the Fed raised interest rates 75% or 0.75%, 0.75%, 75 basis points yesterday or the day before. We were at 5.7, 5.8, 5.9 like 30 days ago. And now we're at 5.13. It's going down. You can see it's going down. Not good. Means they're going to raise some more. If we can stay under 5.5. I'm pretty happy about that. So we'll just have to see. Well, I'm going to cut the show. I'm not going to cut it short. It's an hour and 4 minutes. I've had a good show. For those of you who've popped in and gone out, thank you. Put something in the comment section. I think I'll be around tomorrow. I think like my nerves are starting to go away again. And I'm not doing so many things where I can't do a live stream. So with that, I'm going to head on out. Thank you for watching. I will catch you later when I find the button.